Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back talking NCAA women's basketball. We know that the tournament week, the conference championships and conference tournaments are this week. Selection Sunday is this Sunday. Then the following week, of course, the NCAA March Madness tournaments will start. Everyone will start dancing. So I'm very excited about that. But I want to go over today something specific in regards to the players, and that's the Naismith Women's Player of the Year candidates. Now, these odds are according to USA Today as a couple of weeks ago. So it was around February 13th they released these odds. Now, these odds are in order, but I think they're a little bit switched now just because of the recent play and recent happenings that have occurred with each team and each player. So I'll go through a list of them. The first one that they had, the best bets to win the Player of the Year for Lauren Betts. Seemed like the National Player of the Year is usually geared towards bigger players, like taller players, players that play in the front court other than opposed to the back court. So Lauren Betts, UCLA has done well. They only lost 2 games this regular season as it has come to a close, and they only lost to USC, and they lost to them twice, and there's the only 2 losses. But they have lost to USC twice by double digits at home and away. So it just shows that USC's a more dominant team, or at least a more dominant team in those 2 games. But like they say, it's always harder. It's difficult to beat a team 3 times in a year, but some say it's not if you're just better than that team. So we'll find out if they reach the tournament, if UCLA reach the tournament against USC again, and we'll see what happens. But unfortunately, I think Lauren Betts dropped down a little bit just for a lack of aggressiveness. She wasn't able to handle the double teams well and pass out of those. So I think her Naismith chance has slipped just a little bit, but she still is averaging 20 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks. So that's still pretty impressive. Next, you have Hannah Hidalgo. She's out of Notre Dame. Their team has a recent slump, and she had a recent slump as well, with recent losses to North Carolina State and Florida State. But like I said, she's averaging 24 points a game and 5 rebounds, but her team has lost 2 stretches of games, two stretches of game where they lost 2 in a row, but they only lost like 4 games the whole year. So they're still in pretty good standings to get a number 1 seed, I believe. But Hannah Hidalgo, I think, has slipped a little bit in those rankings. Now, the next person has risen in those rankings, and she's ranked 3rd according to the odds a couple of weeks ago, and I think she should be number 1 right now. It's none other than USC's Juju Watkins. Now, she's trending at the right time. Like I said, they got those 2 wins against UCLA, a big-time win against Ohio State, a very convincing win as well. But she does have the loss to Iowa, but I think that was a little bit about Caitlin Clark's jersey being retired and her being in the building. So it was a lot of different variables that went into that game, not to make excuses. They should have never lost that game. Iowa, I don't believe even was ranked at that time, or is still not ranked. But I think Juju Watkins' defense has separated her from the pack, averaging 24 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. That's pretty impressive for a guard. She plays, switches between the guards position between point and shooting guard. But to have 2 blocks a game is pretty impressive for to be a guard. Even though she is 6'2", she's a bigger guard. But it's still impressive, and I think her defense and help defense has separated her from the pack because the rest of the players, they're not necessarily known for defense. That's in this Naismith Women's Player of the Year award. And then next, of course, is Paige Beckers. She's been fairly quiet this year, but she had a lot of team success. She's averaging 18 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and her team right now is number 1 in the Big East, and then they're ranked 5th nationally. So I think she's properly placed right now around that 4-3-4 spot. But we'll see once these conference tournaments end. I'm not sure when they get the voting in, but it's probably just for the regular season. So they're probably already had the votes in. So she'll be around 3 or 4, I believe, but she's still considered the consensus number 1 pick for the WNBA draft coming up here pretty soon. And then lastly, one of my sleeper picks for the Naismith Player of the Year award is Anissa Morrow. Her team has struggled with recent losses to Georgia and Alabama. And unfortunately, Flau'jae Johnson just went down, but she'll be back for the NCAA March Madness tournament, but she'll miss the conference. so that might hurt the LSU standing during that time. But she's been a model consistency this year. She has 25 double doubles with points and rebounds in those. Very, very good below the rim rebounder. One of the best I've seen in college basketball, especially women's basketball, being able to rebound the way she does. She's 6'1", so she's a little undersized, especially for that forward position. But she makes up for it in hard and ability just to block out and be strategic, and actually has a feel for getting the rebounds. But she's averaging 18 points a game and 14 rebounds, almost 3 steals as well, which is pretty impressive for her to, play the 4 position to average 3 steals. It shows you she's very active on defense and very alert as well and willing. But she's averaged double doubles, which is impressive. She's averaged double doubles every year of her college career, which I believe in this upcoming WNBA draft, she has the highest return on investment if you want a safer pick. Being able to rebound and play defense and get steals, that can translate anywhere. Points come and go, but rebounding, that's, determined on hard. Most people can get points anyway, waking up, but rebounding is something you have to actually go out there and do, and steals is the same. You have to be active and alert and willing to do so. So those are the top picks for the Naismith Women's Player of the Year, according to USA Today a couple of weeks ago. My pick right now is Juju Watkins, but we'll see after these conference tournaments and the NCAA March Madness tournaments, which I'll be covering as well. As always, thanks for tuning into the Urban Scope podcast. And until next time, I'll see you next time.